Hello, everyone, and welcome to Those Working Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine. That was very fast, Natasha. And today, I don't want Natasha to have to talk so much because she has a sore throat happening. But today we're discussing all things Bridgerton. Yes. We have a special guest, Katie. She's one of our Team Pulse Bananas patrons who have read all of the Bridgerton books, so she can bring the book perspective here today, which we love. Katie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Katie. Like Christine said, I am a patron. I'm one of a couple Katies, so I'm not always the Katie mentioned in the chat, but I often am because I do like to yap.
She's the OG Katie.
I read is something like that. Yeah, I have read all the Bridgerton books a couple times. They're a comfort read for me. And yeah,
I didn't know you've read them multiple times.
So I didn't read them until after I watched season 1 of the show.
Yeah.
But since I have read them many times.
Well, which one's your favorite?
That's a very difficult question because there's a difference between my favorite couple and my favorite book. Like Hyacinths might be my favorite book because there's like a mystery element to it.
I love
but
that.
I don't know if she's my favorite couple. That might be Benedict.
Ooh.
Wow, both people we have not seen their show yet.
Future people. So exciting. All right. So we are going to get into that for our main discussion. But before that, we have huge Snap Crackle pop culture news that literally just dropped. And I'm so excited about it. But this is not going to come out till next week when it's not huge anymore because it'll already have dropped. But there's a new Hunger Games book coming called Sunrise on the Reaping. About Haymitch's Hunger Games. It just dropped. It just dropped.
Whose Hunger Games? Sorry.
Haymitch. The 50th Hunger Games. Yes. It's the prequel we've all wanted from the very beginning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the book is set for release March 18th, 2025, and it's set for release in theaters November 20th, 2026.
Oh my gosh. This is so exciting.
It's so exciting. I awoke to like a bunch of messages about this, and I was like, wait, really? Is this real? It feels like Suzanne Collins only writes Hunger Games books now, which is fine by me. Fine by me.
That's fine by me. I hope this continues. Let's bring on Finnick next time. I need more of this.
Agree.
Oh my God, I would love to see Finnick's Hunger Games too. So exciting. So that is the huge news right now. I like this title so much better than The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Sunrise on the Reaping. It rolls off the tongue so much easier.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
Yeah. Katie, do you have any specific thoughts here?
I did just now realize Reaping is like Hunger Games Reaping Day.
Yeah.
I that did not click until just this minute. But I agree. I'm excited. I don't know if anyone used to watch those YouTube videos where I don't know what group it was, but they like made their own little versions of like the Haymitch story and the Finnick story.
Oh,
yes.
I do remember
Wait,
that.
yes.
Like I'm loyal
They
to
were
those.
so good.
They were really good, actually.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to see. I feel like that's what plays in my head, but I'm excited to have something else to compare it to.
Oh my God, that just brought back so many memories. Like they did Katniss and Rue first, and then they did the Hunger Games with Haymitch and Wild.
And they did like a Finnick and Annie series that was really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I remember that.
All right. Also happening. Okay, well, at this moment, Bridgerton season part 2 is out when you're listening to this. So I hope y'all are enjoying it. I will be at my sister's wedding, so I will be enjoying it after the fact. But I'm sure all of you are watching right now, which is so exciting.
You know, I probably will be because I'll probably just be rewinding it.
Rewinding it.
Restart.
At this point, too, we have 1 week out to Natasha's romancy ball, Lovesteria. It's coming June 22nd. There might still be tickets left, so please check the show notes if you're interested in coming. It is in LA on June 22nd. There will be a book fair portion, so you can just buy a ticket to the book fair if you don't want to come to the ball. At the book fair, we will be doing a live recording of those Working Fangirls. If you want to come to that, it's going to be a super fun time. There will also be authors and vendors, bookish vendors. I will be there signing Attached at the Hip or whatever book you have. If you want to come, I will sign whatever. And there are probably going to be at least one other author.
VIPs get your book in their bag.
Oh my God. Really? That's so cool. Okay, if you have a VIP ticket, you'll have my book in your bag. And VIPs get to come to the ball and the
fair. And they get to go in an hour early, and they get to have a photo shoot with Danielle.
Oh my God, the photo shoot with Danielle is really a highlight too, because
Yes.
she's amazing and you'll get top tier pictures.
Yeah. Definitely check the website for updates. I'm hoping it'll be up by then. Like the fair schedule and the panels and all that, and the authors. There's like 6 authors right now.
Ooh, exciting. All right, moving on. My book is out. It's called Attached at the Hip. We were just talking about it. It's a survivor rom-com adventure. People are saying that it's a great beach read because you can read it in one sitting. If you have read it and enjoyed it, I would love it if you reviewed it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, because it's really helpful to help other people find it. The more reviews there are, the more the algorithm pushes it as recommendations to other people. Kenzie from Survivor has it now. She asked to read it. So that's really cool. So Attached at the Hip is out. Crazy times. Another huge news. Beatles. Okay, I didn't even know that this was happening. Sam Mendes, who directed 1917 and other films as well. 1917 is a huge Oscar film a few years ago. He has had this plan to do 4 biopic films, one for each Beatle. And there has been reporting from like lots of different film Twitters and websites that there's a strong rumor that he has found his cast for each of the biopics. So right now, the big rumor is that Harris Dickinson is going to play John Legend, and that's the guy from Triangle of Sadness and Iron Claw, and he played Liam in The Darkest Minds.
I'm trying to picture him. I can't see him.
He's like a blonde white guy.
Aren't they all?
And then Paul Mescal is rumored to be casted as Paul McCartney, and he's the guy from Normal People. Barry Keoghan is cast as Ringo Starr, who you might know from Sabrina Carpenter's boyfriend. She's Sabrina Carpenter's boyfriend, and Saltburn, where he danced around naked. He is the naked dancer guy.
Yep.
And then Charlie Rowe is the least famous one that I looked up, and he's been cast as George Harrison, supposedly, and he played Ray Williams in Rocket Man. That's his biggest claim to fame on his IMDb. Okay, so they are set to be like 4 interconnected films that will all release in 2027.
Wow.
So that it just sounds so cool. So each of their points of view will interconnect, and the rumor is that like there'll be one movie each season, ending in winter with the last one. So I'm excited about this project. It sounds so ambitious and so cool.
Is it going to be
seen anything like it
streaming, or are they all going out to theaters?
They're all supposedly going to go to theaters.
Wow, that's
so cool.
That's very cool, but also like a big
project.
A big project, and like getting people in the seats for all 4 is a lot.
I mean, but it's the Beatles. For the first time ever, Apple and the Beatles have granted full life story and music rights for a scripted film.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And they're supposed to start shooting next year. So we'll see.
Katie, what news do you have for us?
What news do you have, Katie?
Yes, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trailer came out. I actually didn't watch it because I don't like to watch trailers, but it came out.
I saw like it on my periphery and posted on my story.
Yeah, I'm like aware of the casting and I trust them, and so I'm just waiting for it to come out. And then I just want to say Happy Pride Month
Yeah,
for all
happy
who
Pride
celebrate.
Yes, happy
Month.
Pride. It's
Yee.
June 6th right now. We are in Pride Month.
I watched a little bit of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder because I've never read the book or anything like that, and it had a whole different vibe than what I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was supposed to be in like Victorian London.
What?
I don't know.
She has a podcast.
I had no idea. I thought it was like she was writing a column or something. I don't know. What? I don't know.
Lady Whistledown, but for murder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
No. She has a project to do for her senior year, and she chooses to reopen this murder case as her project. And then she turns her investigation into a podcast, and then it gets really big, and so now she has a murder podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
very interesting.
So
Speaking
anyway,
of murders,
speaking of murder, what?
We Were Liars is currently filming, and Julie Plec is the showrunner, and it's going to be on Amazon.
Okay, is this what she's been posting about on Instagram?
Yes.
With the how have I not registered that she's talking about We Were Liars?
She posted day 3 of We Were Liars, and I'm like, what? And then I looked it up.
Oh my God. I
Yeah.
can't believe Julie Plec is doing We Were Liars, and it's going to be a show on Amazon.
I know.
This book, I feel like, was about nothing except for the twist, and everyone loves it, but I don't remember literally anything about it except for like plot twist.
I actually don't even remember the plot twist anymore, but I feel like it's going to be a summer I Turned Pretty, but
I
like
think it'll be a better
Flowers in
show.
the Attic.
Yeah, I think Julie Plec will make it addictive AF.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like what she's best at, taking something that doesn't really have characters that are memorable and making them
Mm-hmm.
the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, maybe she shouldn't have done it with Vampire Academy, but hopefully she'll do it well with We Were Liars.
I think this is ripe for what you can do with a TV show based on a book that has very little detail about things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Ripe for the picking. All right. Last, I don't know if we want to end on a sad note, but Halsey is sick, and her new album is called The End. She has lupus and leukemia, and
I saw that.
she's going through treatment, and that's just like, it was just really upsetting to see. But she has a new album called The End, and I would venture that it's very upsetting.
Yeah. I saw someone kind of blasted this person who like put a comment underneath one of her videos, and it said, "Oh, she's gonna turn out fat like Selena Gomez," and I'm like, "Oh my
fucking
God. How dare you? Like, this is like,
What
she's
the
going through a
fuck
medical
kind of
crisis.
person. Yeah. What the fuck?
And same with Selena. Both of them are so strong, and they're still in the entertainment industry, and they're still able to work. Like, what they're doing is so taxing on their bodies while they're all so sick.
I cannot believe somebody said that. Ew.
Mm-hmm.
People
That's
are
like, yeah, that's like too disgusting to even, like, it's not even, but,
horrible.
Yeah, no, leave women's bodies alone, Nicole said. Thank you. God
Oh
damn.
my God. There's
also fat, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say fat like Selena Gomez, who is still very much like a mid-size. Like, first of all, as if fat is an insult or a bad thing. Second of all, as if Selena, like, the audacity.
Mm-hmm.
The audacity, like the lack of empathy and understanding for a human situation when you're going through it. Like, I can't. Ugh.
Yeah, it's just the fact that like fat phobia is still like such a huge part
Rampant.
of how we view women and like how we base our their worth on their bodies. And as just like people would rather see her be skinny and sick than healthy, and it's just disgusting.
Ugh. Yeah, well, we're wishing the best for Halsey, obviously, and hopefully the treatment is successful.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. Moving on to, sorry, our main discussion. This is a weird transition. That's a weird transition. All right.
It's okay.
So we're gonna move into our main discussion, which is Bridgerton, and it's a fun, lighthearted discussion. But before we do, I need to take a quick second to thank all of you out there listening to the show. We appreciate you so much. And if you're not already, we would love it if you followed the show in your favorite podcast listening app for free. And whether that be Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts or Spotify, we're there. And that way you never miss an episode. It'll let you know when there's a new one. And we also are on YouTube, youtube.com/@thoseworkingfangirls. We have a visual version of the show for every single episode if you prefer to watch the show. Hello, YouTube. And you can subscribe there for free so you never miss an episode on the YouTube either. We are also on social media. Our Instagram is @thoseworkingfangirls. It's run by Chloe Laverson, and she is fantastic. It's a fun time over there, so make sure you're following the show there. For any other announcements that we have, you'll be up to date with whatever's going on in Those Working Fangirls world. And we post fun shit over there too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we have a Patreon. I don't know if you've heard about it before, but this is a viewer supported podcast. We couldn't do this without our patrons, and we absolutely love the community over there. We have the $5 tier is called Team Jacob, and at that tier you get the show ad free, and you get to come to the recordings and chat in the chat live, be a part of the conversation in the episodes, and you get Fangirl Tea Time, which is our half an hour extra show attached to every single show. So when you sign up now, you get access to every single Fangirl Tea Time from the past. And this is episode 77. So there are a lot. And you can go back and listen to those all ad-free. When you become a patron, you could try it out for 7 days. We have a 7-day free trial. See if you like it. And then we have 2 other tiers, Team Edward and Team Polis Bananas. Team Edward gets bonus episodes every month. And Team Polis Bananas, you have the opportunity to come on the show. That Katie is a Team Polis Bananas patron. And you are part of our fangirl bonding sessions every single month. We hang out on Zoom, and it is a hoot, and we all get to know each other really well. And I just love it so much. It's so nice.
And Katie runs, what do you run outside of the Patreon? Do you run like a Discord or with everyone?
I don't run the Discord. I think Abby started
the Discord.
But we do like a book club.
Yeah.
Through the Discord. But it's a great time. I love it. I love this community. It was my favorite thing from last year and continues to be my favorite thing. So highly recommend.
We love that.
Thank you. We love Katie. All right. So that is in the show notes, guys. Everything is in the show notes that we just talked about. And we will be right back to talk about Bridgerton after these messages, unless you're a patron and you don't have messages. Woo! And we're back. It's time to talk about Bridgerton. And we're going to open up asking, I want to know what everyone's relationship with the show was. And we can add that on to one of the questions that Natasha added and what drew you to it initially. Mm-hmm. As a lover of history and romance, Natasha writes, the fact that this was a Regency bodice ripper and the first of its kind really intrigued her. Mm-hmm. What was the initial draw for you?
I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing about this show actually through Reagan Peru's project. She had posted on her stories, like the trailer, and I am a rabid consumer of all like historical romance dramas. And so I saw that this was coming out, and I think what first it's a romantic historical drama. 2, there's sex. And I was so excited because we don't get any of that usually
in Regency.
Regency. And if there is, it's usually like trauma based, because most like historical romantic or like most historical dramas, like they don't really have that in the show. And if they do, then it's somehow related to a woman's trauma, which I don't love. No one loves to watch that. So this was a Harlequin romance, a bodice ripper, and something that was published in 2000. And I was all here for it. And then once I heard that like Shondaland was involved, I was like, yes, this is going to be my new thing. But yeah, no, I have become a pathological rabid fangirl for Bridgerton in my late 20s and now my early 30s. It is my new Twilight. This is everything that like 14-year-old Natasha was for Twilight. Now it's 30-year-old Natasha who loves all things Bridgerton. I mean, it has like completely taken over my life. Like, I mean, my whole wardrobe changed. I became like so
for real.
Yeah, like I just went full force because
You made your like one of your first dresses was for the Bridgerton premiere.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that I was able to even have those experiences too because of my social media, I cannot imagine what, like, if there were influencers back in the day for Twilight, what would have happened to the two of us, Christine. But like, I'm just so grateful. I just love this show so much, and it is literally, it's been my new Twilight because I watched every day. I literally, there's not a time that goes by where I don't watch it, and it's
And backstory, if you don't know, Natasha watched the Twilight film every day for a year.
I did over 300 times.
That's awesome. I'm glad that it's become your new like comfort, amazing happiness show. Happy making.
Yes.
Katie, what is your relationship with Bridgerton? What initially drew you to the show?
So I am a big hype follower. Unfortunately, I do not think for myself when it comes to entertainment. I just I just watch what's big. And when season 1 came out, I feel like people had strong feelings both ways about it. Like, people loved it, but for season 1, a lot of people really hated it. But I was in my first apartment living by myself, and it was just like what kept me company. And I come from a big family. I have a lot of siblings, and so I related to that family dynamic a lot. And so that kind of made it a little more heartburning for me.
Oh yeah, I didn't put that together for you.
Yeah, so I would be the Daphne, Eloise, Francesca in my family, all wrapped in one. 3 older brothers, 1 younger brother, 1 little sister. So it all like checks out perfectly.
Nice.
And so that really made it feel personal to me.
Yeah.
And then when season 2 came out, I read the books so I would know what was going on. I reread them all the time, and I rewatch the show all the time.
Aww.
So why did you want to read the books first? Like, did you, because my opinion is,
well, she finished season 1 and then she read them.
yes, but like, Katie, you've been trying to get me to read them for a long time, and I told myself that I didn't want to read them because I want to be surprised by the show. And because I do, now that I've read the first one, I read The Duke and I, and now I'm on Anthony's book, I'm willing to read the ones that I've already watched. So was it just like you wanted more of it and you decided to read it, or what was your thought process?
Yeah. So I kind of viewed it almost as like research for it, or almost like, this is a bad way to put it, but like fan fiction for the show almost, because it's different enough that it's sort of like an alternate vibe. I don't know. I also am just nosy, and I just wanted to know everything I could possibly know about these characters and the world. And again, the sibling dynamic, I just really just was so curious. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think I saw a BuzzFeed article that was like top 10 differences between season 2 and the book, and I was like, well, now I want to know what the differences are. I want to be able to say that. So like, if
Those
we're being
BuzzFeed
really
articles
real,
do their job.
it got me. So that's my like real Gen Z answer for you. But
Nice.
yeah, so I read the books like halfway through season 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I, being like the film TV girly, saw that Shonda Rhimes had a new series. And I saw the poster and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch that. And because I loved How to Get Away with Murder. I loved the first few seasons of Scandal. So I was excited and I watched it as soon as it came out on Netflix, and everyone was talking about it and it was a fun time. I mean, yeah, I didn't have any like association with like how it was a period drama or a bodice ripper. I was just like, Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah, because like I always, you don't always love like the movies that I love, so it's always fun when there is something that we can connect on. And the fact that like this is most people don't watch historical like period dramas, and so the fact that this is relatable to a lot more people is so much more fun for me because I can connect with more people on it.
Yeah, well, that kind of leads right into like, does Bridgerton, with its historical inaccurate costumes and music, irritate you or have the opposite effect? And like you're saying, for me, I don't typically get drawn to period dramas out of the blue. I need to have like a different hook, and I think for me, it has exactly the opposite effect for me. Like, I love how it puts in the modern touches, and that really makes it so that it can be a cozy, relatable show instead of a show where I feel kind of more distant from the way that they speak and their sense of humor and all of that sometimes happens when you're watching a period drama where you're kind of one step removed from it, because it's so different from the way we speak and the way culture is in general with the music. The music just draws you in because you know the songs, but they sound different, and it really plays on how we associate music with like happiness and excitement because we know the songs, and it really just adds to it in such a beautiful way, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Right, y'all.
I at first, I think, here's the thing. I don't love exact historical accuracy. I don't think that's very fun. But I don't love it when we're talking about rain and it's just like free people dresses. I can't stand that. So I like that they have the silhouettes of the time, but that they embellish them, which is like what I do. Like, I would love, if you look back at like Regency dresses, they've got like the bonnets, which are not very cute. And a lot of like the Muslim dresses, which are pretty and very cottagecore. But not if we're talking about like Bridgerton, which is set in the Ton, which is like, this is the first Regency.
What the fuck is the Ton? Can you please elaborate? I wrote this later down in the doc, but because we were talking about different terms that have come up, and they just, now that I have the subtitles on all the time, I'm like, what? The Ton? Like, I think I thought they were talking about the town or something with an accent, but it's Ton.
Yeah.
It's the word ton, but they're like, the ton. We can't go about the ton like this. And I'm just like, is it society?
Yeah.
Like, what is the ton?
Yeah. It is. So, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong. This is, so the Ton is basically just high society in Regency times. So it's the lords and ladies of royalty and who are in the house of.
Do we know if it's short for something? Like, where did that come from?
Yes.
So I did look this up.
Okay.
My dumbass thought that at first that it was because all the last names ended in Ton. I was like, it's Bridgerton, Featherington, they're the Ton. But that's not true. That's misinformation. It comes from a French saying like le bon ton, which means good society, high society. And so then, since obviously everything French at this period was considered in vogue, they took it over, and so it's the French word that they use. But yes, that's what it means essentially, is high society.
Okay, I love that you looked that up. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, thank you. I did not know the origin of that, but yeah, it's just the word that they use for high society. But it's the first time that we are seeing like viscounts and barons and dukes. You know, usually we're either in like the countryside with Jane Austen, or we're like with the king and queen, and there's never been like this like little like medium ground.
Yeah, I like how accessible everything feels. Like, you feel like you're a part of it and not outside of it, which really makes it the comforting show that it is. Because a lot of times when I watch a period drama, I do feel like I'm watching it from the outside, and I don't really understand exactly how their society works and ebbs and flows. And in this, we are really pulled into it from multiple perspectives in ways where we can easily feel like we understand where they're coming from and all their like different Regency concerns and such of being ruined. Like, going back to season 1 now, I'm seeing it completely new because I do understand it so much more now after 3 seasons, like their concerns and their titles, and like the idea after watching Queen Charlotte specifically, and then going back and watching season 1 and seeing Simon's father and how concerned he is about losing the title because, you know, it was just given to them and it was such a huge deal. that really hit different when I went back and had like the backstory of all of that.
Yeah. I think speaking of that, like the show is not a colorblind casting. I think a lot of people first thought that when they watched the first season, but we got that little scene of Lady Danbury being like, the queen did this, and so like all of our people have it. I think everyone needs to remember that Bridgerton is set in like a fantasy Regency time, like where they have sequins and sparkle and eyeshadow and it's just the fact that we can have a show where we don't have to see like the trauma of people's backstories, specifically of like Black trauma, that we can just see them live this life of dukedom and glamour is just, I think, such a fun and like perfect way to have a show and to watch it, and for everyone to kind of like forget about the real world.
Yeah, and I think that also plays into why the historically inaccurate dress doesn't bother me that much, because we're already suspending our disbelief, and it kind of gives the show its signature vibe. And so I'm willing to just be along for the ride.
Yeah. No, and it like allows the show to explore the themes of like in a lighter way without the trauma. Like we still explore racism in Queen Charlotte and like the effect of it on society, but they get to shift the narrative in such a beautiful way with Queen Charlotte there. So it's nice to watch that play out.
There's a little bit of historical reasoning for like why they did that. Queen Charlotte, the historical figure, there's a portrait of her that's been disputed about whether her features have some, I don't know, like mixed race heritage in them, and it's debated. It's very, lots of people think it's a stretch, but I think that was sort of the grain of historical
inspiration.
For that.
Cool.
Yeah. I fully believe she was mixed race. I don't know where she came from. Is she like German?
She's German.
Yeah.
Austrian, Austro-Hungary, whatever it was.
Whatever the country was. Yeah.
Laura said, my favorite is everyone pointing out that Colin was traveling Europe and swanning around during the Napoleonic War. Oh, God.
Oh, Colin. All right.
Mr. Worldwide, indeed.
Let's move on to our next kind of topic of discussion here. So Bridgerton season 3 has 2.3 billion streams in its first week. Why do you think the show draws such a large crowd, Natasha?
I think this show is just, it's really for the women, you know, and Laura says sex sells. This is the first time, like I said, we're seeing a bodice ripper turned into a TV show. Like I read my first bodice ripper when I was 18 years old. It was called The Naked King. And so I was very aware of this whole world and like Regency romance. And I mean, like romance is like one of the top sellers in books, right, Christine? Like it's one of like the number one sellers.
It is. It's the most consistent book publishing success.
So the fact, and I think like Hollywood just really undermines the female audience and like what we want. Consistently. And this is, I think, the show, the first of its kind, and I feel like we need more of it. I feel like they keep trying to, they try to do it with the Buccaneers, and I don't think it went very well.
It wasn't written very well.
Yeah.
Like the writing was really left.
Well, also like the Buccaneers is not like a romance. Like it's more based on female trauma. Again, like I said, like we want a fluffy romance, which is what Bridgerton is.
But Bridgerton is a fluffy romance, but it also has depth. Like it has all the things we want, and it doesn't go too dark, but it still has depth to it. It's not just fluff, which is why we like it so much. Like it has weight behind it and meaning, and the characters have full arcs and like they feel like real people that we can relate to.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons why it's so successful too. Like these women that we're watching have these struggles that even 200 years later in 2024, like we can very deeply relate to. And like listening to Daphne talk about the pressure to be married and all that shit, like that still exists. like, and how flippant her brother is about it, and how flippant the men are about marriage. It's still like that. In 2024, men still pretend like they never want to like settle down. Like it's just like so annoying to hear. That they just like, I don't know, there's still this aversion to, because it's like womanly to want to be in love, which is, it's human.
It's womanly to feel an emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is so stupid. And like Penelope and her struggle being like more in books and not having the confidence that she needs to put herself out there. Like that's so relatable for so many women.
Yeah.
And not knowing, oh my God, Daphne. So I'm rewatching season 1, and Daphne like not knowing about her own body and how it works and how physical sex works, and all the women being confused about how people are with child. That still happens today. Like maybe not as much with Google, but like I had no fucking
Katie
clue
points at herself
until I learned in school at 12 years old. Like that's pretty far gone. I mean, poor Daphne and all of these women are like in their late teens, but still, like it's 2024. Fucking educate women. And I hated how all her brothers know and they won't tell her. Like I just, gag.
Yeah, I mean Eloise too. Like she literally sits there and asks them, like in between.
Yes,
Benedict
that's exactly what the scene I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school. I didn't learn about my body until maybe I was 18. I could get more personal, but I don't think I'm gonna. It still is very much, we keep women in the dark on purpose, and we make things inaccessible to women on purpose. I still think that financial literacy among women is still very much not encouraged, so that you rely on
men,
the nearest male relative, to teach you about it or to assume they know about it. I think we still, like, times change, but people don't, sort of, that kind of thing.
It mirrors, it's an intensified mirror, but it mirrors everything that we deal with right now. So it's not just entertainment and fluff. It's very relatable and makes us feel seen. And like Natasha said, it's like the female perspective on it. And so it's just, females are so excited about things. We're not afraid to be enthusiastic. We run the market, so they should be catering to us.
Right. It's like Barbie Summer, the Eras Tour. Like, if you put time and effort into portraying the female experience, female pleasure, female joy, girls are going to show up and open up their wallets, frankly. Like, it's, I don't know. Penelope even says in the show, like, when he asks her what she likes to read about, and she says, I find myself drawn time and time again to stories about love, because that's connection, and that is like human history is a story of love, and like, I don't know, I just think it is so sad to me that men look down on that, because how sad to be a human being and think love is beneath you. Like, that is so sad.
That is so well put. It's so fucking frustrating that that's a thing at all.
Laura says, I think Book Talk has helped too, because it's helping to create a community of pride around loving smutty romance. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely opened up the gates for like loving romance unabashedly, because we've all figured out that we all love it. And when you know that you're not the only one, it erases the shame and allows us to embrace it.
I remember reading those Regency romances, because I was thinking about that this morning. I had just graduated high school, and we were all like going out to a river trip, and I was reading The Naked King. And I remember my friend, we were in the car, it was like quiet, everyone was sleeping. She's like, what are you reading? I'm like, it's called The Naked King. And she's like, what? I'm like, The Naked King. The Naked King? Yeah, shut up. Shh. It's like a car full of like all of like my church friends. I'm like, yeah, I'm reading about smut. Shut up.
Yeah, that was me like watching season 1 of Bridgerton, because I didn't know very many people who had watched it, and it just had this reputation for just being this like brainless porn that somehow made its way onto Netflix.
And of course it got that reputation because it was something that women were really loving, that had love in it. Romance.
Right, because it took the time. It took the time to show female pleasure the same way any movie will show male pleasure, but that's not porn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like crazy. So I didn't want to tell people I was watching it, let alone enjoying it, because again, that shame that it's weird.
Yeah, and I feel like there's not many shows that do show female pleasure. And I remember when Outlander came out and how big of a deal it was to see like Claire enjoying herself.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the first of its kind.
And Jamie like prioritizing Claire enjoying herself.
Yes.
Yep.
I will never forget the line, "Is it always like that? Only when the man is a very good lover." And I was like, that is right, Claire.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so very few circumstances where we get to see that. So, Katie, when you first read the books, what stood out to you the most in its differences with the show? Because I just finished the first one, and I'm just like stunned at how much Shonda has added to it, and also like some of the big changes she's done. Do you prefer the books or the show now? And then which scenes do you like better in the TV show?
So I think as a piece of art for this day and age, I prefer the show.
Yeah.
I think the books, you have to take them with a grain of salt because of when they were written, the genre, and I think like any genre, the romance series do sometimes have their problematic pieces.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes the alpha male versus, you know what I mean? Like it can be a little, we all know. You kind of have to go into it with that understanding, and sometimes, you know, I don't know, it was written in 2000, the first one was. So there are things you kind of have to just accept as we wouldn't say that today and then move on, or at least that's how I view it. And I think anytime a book comes to screen, you lose some of that internal conflict just because you can't.
The nature of it.
Yeah, you just can't. And so,
form. Yeah. Exactly.
But then you get to add things like the costuming and the music, and it brings it more alive in that way. I think the price of that is sometimes, like, Simon in the first book has his lisp is a lot bigger of an issue.
Oh.
And it kind of like, that's why he is like a man of few words, or why if he gets angry his lisp comes out, and so then he will like leave or just like
Shut
stop
down.
Wait, is it a
talking,
lisp
like,
or is it a stammer?
It's a
or
stammer.
a stutter.
Okay.
You're right, it's a stutter. You're right. And I don't know why I said lisp. Anyway, maybe it's because I had a lisp as a kid. Anyway, I feel like he has that stutter is like a bigger deal. And then in book 2, this is not a spoiler, but for Anthony, his dad died at age like 36 or something.
38.
And so then Anthony is 38. Yes, 38. And Anthony is convinced he will not live past 38.
Oh, wow.
And that's why he's like, I don't need love. I don't need blah, 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 blah. And it takes him the whole book to get over that. So like little pieces of the internal conflict that you get a little more of. But I like...
That actually adds a lot, that little tidbit, I feel like.
Yeah. And like Kate and Daphne are a little bit different in the books. But not in... It's kind of like they're both good.
Yeah.
Both good, just different. And I kind of like that they're sort of doing their own thing with the show and going off book in certain places, because with the book series, some storylines were a little problematic. Some of the language is just outdated, and I don't really need a shot-for-shot adaptation of this series. That's just not what I'm looking for. So I kind of like that they're taking liberties.
The biggest thing I noticed is that it's an ensemble cast in the show. It is not in the books. So like we do get to see a little bit of the siblings, but we don't see anything of the Featheringtons. We see nothing of Penelope and Colin, like at least in the first one. And it's just very centered on each of the kids' like romances and their relationships. So I think that's like, I love that for a romance story, but for a show, not so much.
I agree. And like the queen doesn't really play a role in the
not
books
at all.
necessarily.
Even like Lady Whistledown, like, yeah, they talk about her, but like it's not a big to do of like who is Lady Whistledown or the queen.
They really amped up the mystery aspect of it,
or like how the queen is like out for blood for her. Like there's none of that, at least in the first one. I just started the second one.
Yeah, the Lady Whistledown plot really only matters in Penelope's book, in Penelope and Colin's book, is when it's really a big deal, because they don't reveal it that it's Penelope until that book,
which is book 5,
and not even until like book 4 or 5, and it's not until halfway through like that you realize it's Penelope.
Wow, that's wild.
So it's a little different there, but I don't know if I like it better or worse that they switch that up, the reveal of Lady Whistledown, but I just think it's different. But I do like that we get more of an ensemble cast, that you see, you know, even if only our main characters are the ones talking, you still see the whole family together in the room. I kind of like that you get those scenes.
Yeah. I know. I think the scene that like really took me, I didn't think that Daphne was going to take advantage of Simon in the book. And then when I read it in the book, it was way worse than the show because he's drunk.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That was the first thing I told Christine.
Yes, he's drunk and like half asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the show, it's still bad, right? Because it's still a non-consensual act.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And it's, and then there's also a part in the Colin and Penelope book where he like grabs Penelope, and we're hearing from Colin's point of view, and he's like, I grabbed her so hard it would probably leave a bruise, but I was so angry I didn't care.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. I've noticed there's a lot of shaking going on. Like everyone like shakes each other. Like all the men shake the women. Like what the fuck? I've definitely read that in books before, but this I'm noticing it way more.
Yes, it's always they either do it or they talk about how they're restraining themselves from doing it. And it's, that language is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. So the next 2 questions are kind of similar. And it's about the ensemble cast. So like in the first season, we saw that the actors left. Okay. So their screen time shifts per season to new leads. So do we think we'll be seeing Luke and Nicola drop off of the later seasons, and will this affect your experience of the show?
So I was having a conversation about this with Cynthia, I think, and she was like, they keep leaving. There's going to be no Bridgertons left.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
In the house. And part of the dynamic is having this big family and their relationship with each other. So I feel like as we get further into these seasons, like we're going to have to shift to the story being more of an ensemble, like less of a focus on one couple. And the story, I feel like, has to intertwine other of the Bridgertons, like other the families that are paired off, because there is story there to be made with different families and interactions and shit. They're not all happily ever after for the rest of time, and they have to like pay those actors to stay in the show.
Yeah,
because it'll feel wonky if they just keep leaving and then there's just like Hyacinth left.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. My other question was like, do you get excited to see Hyacinth in Gregory season? But I'm like, not if no one's there.
Yeah, they have to keep them on. I think starting with Penelope and Colin, they should keep them on as leads in the next season. Like not lead, but like lead enough, like Mrs. Bridgerton. Like she's always there.
Yeah.
She always has a role.
Danbury.
Lady Danbury. Yeah. Like don't make the kids just go off into the wild for their happily ever after, because that's just not real now. It's been years. Like they're there. They're part of the family. Mm-hmm. Especially Colin, because he will be a Bridgerton rather than like the women who they kind of go off to become parts of in this time, like be like the part of the males world, run the Duchess house.
I think this is especially for Anthony because, well,
yes,
Jonathan Bailey is now becoming like this huge movie star where he's now like the helm of the new Jurassic World series. He's in Wicked.
What do you mean the new Jurassic World series?
He's the new star of the new Jurassic World movie coming out.
What new Jurassic World movie? Are you kidding me? I thought we just finished Jurassic World.
Well, he's the new one. So
What do you mean there's a new one? When is this coming out? What are you talking
they just
about?
announced this last month. Like,
What?
Jonathan, it was like, he just announced that he's the new lead.
What the fuck? He's the new Chris Pratt?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
Nope.
Why?
So I think it's particularly going to be important because he's fucking the Viscount of Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Like, if he's not there, he has to be there.
He has to be there.
And so does
This
Kate.
And so does Kate. They have so much story they could do with them because they're new to being Viscount and Viscountess, and they have all of these children underneath them and Mrs. Bridgerton.
Yet in this third season, they're there for one episode, and they're like, let's extend the honeymoon, and then they're not there for the rest of the time. And they're going to come back in episode 5, but still.
Yeah. I will say for example, in Gregory's book, which was like the most boring in my opinion, they go to, so Antony and Kate as Viscount and Viscountess then take over Aubrey Hall, the country home. And so in Gregory's book, they're like hosting people for the summer. And so it's the whole family staying with them for like a couple weeks or whatever. Most of the book takes place there.
Wait,
so like little things like that.
The whole family is staying where?
With Kate.
So the country home, Aubrey Hall, versus their town home.
Oh, okay.
Kate and Antony own and run Aubrey Hall by the time Gregory's book comes around. And so then Gregory and his cast of characters are going to Antony and Kate's house to stay for the summer.
Okay.
And so you see Antony and Kate, especially Kate plays a big role, and then Colin's there, and it's like they kind of incorporate them that way. So there's like opportunities for them to do it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I would miss Antony and Kate. I don't really miss Daphne, R.I.P. But like
I miss Daphne. I liked her
didn't
role
love her
last season. I feel like she
was
was
important.
really essential in like pushing her brother. And I like the push and pull between the two of them, especially again rewatching Season 1. Like he is so fucking annoying, and she like stands up to him in the way that we see Kate do. You know, like she won't be pushed around by him, and I think it's really nice to see that sibling dynamic because that doesn't happen. Like Eloise doesn't have that relationship with Antony, and neither does Francina. What's her name?
Francesca.
And like Benedict does, but he's a guy.
But he's a guy. It's different. Yeah.
Well, also like Daphne and Colin were better friends as siblings in the books, and so doesn't Daphne play a larger role in Colin's book or no?
Yeah, Daphne. Yes, Daphne like tells Colin the meaning of love and is like explains it to him, and Eloise plays a big role in it as well because the Colin and Penelope book takes place like 10 years after Antony and Kate.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's like a jump. And so it's like Eloise and Penelope are fellow spinsters and they're like attached at the hip during the like so I hope that since they kind of switched that up, I hope that for the Eloise season we get a lot of Penelope.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura asks, doesn't Daphne already have 4 kids in Colin and Penelope's book? Yeah, she does.
Damn. It looks like she has 2 kids right now. Because don't we get a scene where, what's her name, with Mrs. Bridgerton playing with her grandkids and there's 2 of them?
Yeah, that's in Queen Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was Queen Charlotte. Okay. All right. So let's move on to a lighter topic here. Do we now use Bridgerton Regency sayings in our everyday vernacular, or has any entered your brain and you just think about it a lot? Spill.
Like Katie says, I use make haste all the time.
I mean, I've already was using that because of Clockwork.
Yeah.
The Clockwork series is where I was like, make haste!
Yeah, I make haste, and then in Queen Charlotte, when I can't remember who dies, someone dies, and she goes, sorrows, prayers.
Her son's wives or something, or children.
Yeah, it's like it's like her daughter-in-law. It's something very close, but yeah. And then I don't know if this is necessarily Bridgerton. I think of it from Bridget Jones's Diary, but like I've got no prospects, or from Pride and Prejudice, and she's like, I say that a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
this I think about that, like how the queen was like, "We need a new heir," and then her son starts crying because he just lost his wife, and she's like, "Oh, Sarah."
Sorrows, prayers. Because that is so me. That is me trying to comfort someone. I'm so uncomfortable with crying. I'm like,
um, but also, okay, so promenading is something that I definitely learned from Bridgerton, and I'd never heard of that before. And I do think about that a lot. Like, I'm gonna go for a promenade. Natasha,
We were saying that at the Bridgerton after party. And now I want to, you know how we're like, let's take a turn about the room. Well,
Yes.
I use that
Yes.
from Pride and Prejudice, but
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go promenade. When we're at those parties.
Yeah, because I think we used to say like, let's go make a circuit or something, or like we didn't used to say let's take a turn about the room.
Yeah.
I just say let's go for a walk. But
Let's go for a walk about the room. Okay, something I've noticed that they say a lot too. Not that I've never heard the saying "I see," but they say "I see" a different way in Bridgerton. Like instead of being like, "Oh yeah, I see what you're saying," like I understand, they'll be like, "Oh, I see," and like leave it open ended, but like they understand what the person's alluding to, but they don't go any further. Like the communication ends. Like, it's a way to say that like I get you without going into any detail.
Anthony
And
says
sometimes
that a lot.
there's a lot, yeah, and sometimes there's a lot more behind their I see.
yeah, it's like Violet Bridgerton's way of keeping herself from telling her kids that they're screwing up.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I see.
it's like a bless your heart type of thing.
Yes.
Well, and
Yes.
sometimes
Or
they're
if you
really
say so.
loaded. Like, yeah, like Daphne will say, "I see," when she's like, "You're being a fucking asshole," and you're not budging on it, and I see. Like,
Yes.
So that's loaded in Bridgerton. Ruined. I don't think I really understood ruined until I watched it happen in Bridgerton. We still don't really like. It's not as dramatic as it doesn't feel as dramatic as it is for them, but like when what's her name is pregnant and she's gonna be ruined if she's found out before she gets a husband. Like coming back around to
Marina,
that
yeah.
now, I feel for her more.
I was gonna say something that I don't remember. Never mind. It's gone.
Daphne in the first season is like, "I'm gonna be ruined by Lord Burbook. Like, the only solution is to marry him." Like, I would never come to that conclusion. I was like, yeah, the family's just gonna be ruined. I'm not fucking marrying Lord Burbook.
Yeah. Like, I guess I'm ruined, and
I think those
And
concepts are so interesting too for I think like modern women to even think about. Like I learned about it reading and watching Pride and Prejudice because of Lydia. But yeah, like the fact that if you had any type of scandal with a man, like family ruined, get out of here. Good luck.
right. Because it's like, and you think of it and you're like, oh, that just means you're not invited to the parties. You can't be in society. But it's like, that's all they do.
Yeah,
They don't have
they
jobs.
don't have
That is
jobs.
their life.
And they're not allowed to have jobs, which is really annoying. Like,
Right.
I was getting so frustrated by them. Like, you can't run your bar anymore. It's like, he owns the fucking club. Like, what do you mean he can't run it? Like, that's an accomplishment, dude. Like, you don't do anything.
You can't work. You're like what
You
the
must
fuck?
do nothing like us.
Yes. How middle class to have a
Oh.
profession.
Nicole said do a lap, and that is what I was looking for when I was like at parties. Used to be like, let's do a lap.
I see.
Laura says, Natasha, as a sewing champion, did you feel personally attacked by do you genuinely enjoy embroidery in season 3?
You know, that's funny because I don't embroider. So like everything that they were saying, like I was like, oh, going straight over my head. I don't know. No, I don't feel personally attacked. I think that's hilarious because most women, like, that's all they did all day was embroider.
And I think it was really funny how they kind of like made that a joke when they were all just talking about the types of sewing.
The different stitches, yeah.
I know this stitch. I know this stitch. It was like really reminiscent of like Bubba Gump being like barbecue shrimp, this kind of shrimp, this shrimp. Oh my God.
What do we think of Eloise in this season? So far, only part 1 is out. When she talks to Colin, I believe, and he finds her reading Emma, and she says, well, when I was reading about women taking their place in society, that was the fantasy. This finding love, blah, 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 that's reality. Do we think she means that, or do we think she's just saying that?
I think it's really interesting how she's kind of like opening up her mind to these feminine things. It's kind of like when you realize that you could be feminine and powerful at the same time, when like you can wear dresses and still be like interested in feminism and all that shit. And I think that's what she's evolving through right now, because you need to get a little older to realize that like you don't have to go full against everything that is feminine to like get your point across and care about things. And I think she's kind of traumatized from what happened with Newspaper Boy, and when she went to the meeting, like it was like a feminist club or something meeting, and she almost got her family ruined. So I think she is like, she kind of means it, but not fully. Like there's a part of her that is still like very much believing in all of these ideas, but she doesn't know how to go about it without ruining her family. So she's trying to figure out what life looks like without going so hard in that direction as to get everyone in trouble. Yeah, I like that she's like embracing these things in a different light, but still sticking to her beliefs. Like when she talked to Cressida. She's like, now that you asked, let me lecture you about what
that was so me. Oh my God. And it cuts to her later and she's still just like, and this and this and this and this.
And she's like, that's interesting. Oh, I'm not talking about you.
Yeah.
Your brother. Laura says, I do think that losing Penelope also took the wind out of her sails a bit, which I agree too. I feel like that was like a really big, I think, upset in her life that she never really saw coming, and has had to kind of shift her perspective on things. And I think also the biting words that both of them said to each other at the very end too, where she's like, you always just talk, and I'm actually doing it. And I think that kind of...
Yeah, I think she's figuring out how she can do it. And she's probably recognizing that Penelope is a successful woman making her own way in the world in a way. And she has to reassess everything she ever thought about women in general, I feel like. Because she's like hacked the system almost, Penelope, in a way.
Yeah. I think that was a surprise to me, because that plot line is not in the books in like any way, shape, or form. And so I'm so curious to see how they handle it, because I have nothing to go off of for it.
We need their friendship to recover by the end of this season. I need them to get back together. Yeah, that's like the ship I'm rooting for the most, actually.
I know, those were the scenes that made me the most emotional, was when they almost would talk, because it's so familiar and like that's the person you want to tell everything to, but you can't, and like you're standing in your own way. That was what got me.
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking, the scene where they like break up at the end of season 2. I just like, it always makes me so upset.
It's so awful, just what they say to each other, like absolutely terrible. That they even like went that far. Like, how did they have, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah. Laura says, do we think Colin will be really mad at Penn, or just like, that's all right, I love you? I mean, Katie probably has an idea of what happens in the book. I feel like it's going to be a thing, and then that'll be their big hurdle, like Dark Night of the Soul to get past.
Don't say anything, Katie.
Yeah, don't say anything, Katie.
Yeah, I won't say. I'll just say we're only in part 1.
It's obviously going to come up and be an issue, but like they'll probably already be married. Maybe that's what we like to do in Bridgerton. They get married and then something terrible happens and the marriage is strained and they have to like get past it by communicating.
Well, I don't. I feel like they're not, because like she's revealed at the end of her book, but I feel like they're not going to do that. Like, there's no way. They have to keep Lady Whistle. They got to keep Julie Andrews in work somehow. Like, they're not gonna. It's not gonna be revealed, I think, in this season to everyone.
Oh, not to everyone, no, but like Colin probably is going to find out in this season.
Yeah.
It could be the big cliffhanger at the end of the season. I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I have not watched even the trailer for part 2 just because I like to
Neither.
go in blind. So I don't know. I think some people I've seen, like, whenever I see screenshots of it, I just flip past. So I don't know.
They had a trailer, and then they had a second trailer for part 2. I'm like, I don't need to see all those scenes. Thank you very much. And now that I follow everyone, like, they keep showing different screenshots. I'm like, stop!
Kirsty says I'm convinced that's going to be the central conflict of part 2. Like maybe Eloise tells Colin out of shock and spite. And I hope not. Like, I hope he finds out on his own. I don't want Eloise to tell anybody. And I don't think she will. Like, I feel like she cares too much about Penn, but like the posters do make it look like Eloise is really annoyed, but I think maybe she's keeping it to herself because she's a good person. I'm a good person, yes. I feel like that's Eloise. Like, I love how what's her name, Cressida, kind of turns it around on her when she's like, how dare you tell the secret about her? And she's like, I didn't. You were callously just saying it super loud in front of people without any regard for Penelope. And maybe you should take a hard look in the mirror because you are being shitty. And I think she's slowly coming to terms with the fact that she is, you know, being harsher than she needs to be. And some of that might be like kind of upset that she isn't Lady Whistledown. You know what I mean? Like she didn't get to be part of this like huge feminist thing that her best friend was doing, and that she loved Lady Whistledown so much. She like worshipped her, and all this time it was her friend. I feel like there's this weird like jealousy, betrayal happening that she's dealing with and having to work through internally as well.
I think so too.
Let's get into some fun shit. Who's been your favorite character and who's been your favorite ship?
I like Francesca in the show a lot. Okay, this is maybe like, I don't know, diagnosing myself, but I was watching her scenes and I was like, that is so me for real. Like, that is exactly how I behave around my family. I just want peace and quiet. Like, when I met my husband, we would just sit and I would be like, oh, it's so nice to just be quiet.
Oh my
and then
gosh.
everything I saw online, everything online was like, wow, this is great autism representation. This is great. Like, she's on the spectrum. Da, da, da. And I was like, am I on the spectrum? Wait a minute. And so now I'm like looking, like self-diagnosing myself. Nothing wrong, you know, whatever. But I just really like was laughing because when I was watching it, I was like, that is me. That is so me. And then online I was like, wait, I'm revealing things about myself. And then I really like Benedict. I think I like a goofy brother. He's a little more brooding in the books as well, but I like that they made him goofy. And then Hyacinth and Penelope are also my faves.
I feel like I already think I'm going to really love Hyacinth.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And yeah, Benedict is interesting. I feel like he's like a fish of a different color. A marches to the beat of his own drum. Like, I can't figure him out completely.
I feel like they just keep giving him like a flippant love interest each season, and we don't
also
really get
like
to see.
At first I thought he was gay, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, and then he wasn't, and so I was like, oh, that's weird.
I mean, he
like,
might be bi panic. I don't know.
Yeah, he might be bi. I just thought that so I keep thinking that we're gonna go into like a gay romance thread with one of our siblings, but no one has. Like, I thought that Francesca was also gonna be gay, and then she wasn't, and I was like, one of these siblings is gay.
I would love a gay Gregory because his story was boring.
Oh.
So I'd love him to.
So I'm going to be interested to see, speaking of like how, if they are going, because they've already established in the show that being gay is bad. Like, because with in the first season we had Benedict, and he was a part of like that art, the artist guy who painted Daphne.
Yes.
And he's like, he really pointed it out to him. He's like, my loving someone is bad. Like I can't love someone out loud. So this is why my wife and I have this like situation agreement. So I'm like, whatever happens in the show, like, are they going to change that narrative? Like, is being gay okay, or is it still going to be bad? Like, there's still like that stuff is going to be hard to watch too, because then that's gay trauma that now we're talking about.
Yeah, but you never know how they can like twist it in the fantasy Regency world, like Laura just said. Like, can they get gay marriage in fantasy Regency?
Oh yeah, like can the queen can she just
can she declare love is love? Because Brimsley is gay, and he had this like his romance with the other guard in Queen Charlotte, which was so nice to see, but then it was so sad at the end because didn't he die or something? I can't remember.
We don't know what happened to him, but it's just very sad.
Yeah.
Cried. The fucking scene where he's dancing and he's not there anymore. I can't take it.
That was devastating. It does seem like, you know, in their version of the Regency world, like no one bats an eye at like an interracial marriage, whereas in real history that would have been such a scandal. And so it's like they could have just gone, I don't know, I just kind of, it would be nice to not have to worry about gay trauma if it could just be gay joy. But who knows? Who knows how they'll play out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like they could figure out a way to do it.
I hope so.
Joyfully.
Well, because Jessica, who plays Cressida Cowper, she came out this month. So I want to see her have a gay romance with Eloise or whoever. Like,
that would be really fun. I love that.
Well, I'll never forget. Like, when Sasha and I went to Scotland and we visited Castle Fraser, and we had a 5-hour long tour of the family history of the Frasers, and the last like remaining lady of the house, Lady Fraser, married. And then her husband died in like 5 years. And then he's like, yes. And then she had her best friend come and live with her for the rest of her life. And Sasha and I looked at each other, we're like, gay. And like all that stuff happened all the time. And he's like, yeah. And her room was just right across. And we're like,
yeah.
Yep. They would have sleepovers every night.
They figure out how to make it work in the restrictions that they have.
Oh, okay. Anyways, we were talking about favorite characters.
Yes. And favorite ships.
Favorite ships, yes. So my favorite character is, of course, Penelope. So Nicola is not a plus size woman, but she does present as she's mid-size, and she does have a double chin, and she's got a lot of features of being of like fat presenting. So I really saw myself in her, and I love her, and I've always felt a kinship to like that wallflower-esque, even though I am not typically, but I don't get the attention that other people get. So she's always been my favorite. And this season has been very, very healing for me. So she's my favorite. And then Anthony's my favorite. I just love Jonathan Bailey and his like little head tilts. His little head tilts and like way he looks at Kate just make me so feral. I love him.
My favorite is Kate. I felt such a kinship with her. And other favorite is Lady Danbury. And I was thinking about this and I was like, Lady Danbury, why I love her so much is like she's the Dumbledore of the series. Like she's the wise, all-knowing, like clever, mischievous, like planning behind the scenes character who's kind of pulling all the puppet strings. And I always love that character so much. And she's the one that everyone can go to and she will fix their problems. Like she knows how to make it better and figure out a clever way to make everything go the way that you want it to go. So I love her, and I love that I love the way she walks with her cane now, because I don't know, it just like presents so powerful the way that she like walks into a room. And it was really interesting in season 1 now, watching the scene where Penelope and Eloise are walking down the street next to that fenced house that Natasha and we saw it when we were in Bath, you know, that scene. And Eloise has an umbrella, and she's like walking with it the way that Lady Danbury walks with it, her cane. And I was just like, I feel like that was a nod to Lady Danbury and how she kind of looks up to her, because she doesn't have a husband and she's such a powerful lady in their society.
Lady Danbury plays a big part in Penelope's like emotional glow up. Like she, in the book, she kind of takes Penelope under her wing and is like, she said, there's this line she tells her, it's like, isn't it nice to realize we're more than we thought we were, or something like that, because she's like, Penelope, you always look down on yourself, but you're more than you think you are, and like that sticks with her. And then she also is a very Dumbledore role to Hyacinth, and I really like, I mean, they do a good job. It's a faithful adaptation of her character. We just see a little more of her with the kids.
She's also a Dumbledore for Simon. Like, she's the one who takes him and is like, I'm going to help you. And you're not dumb. And your dad is horrible. Like,
it doesn't happen in the books, but I'm glad that they made it happen in the show.
Yeah. So my favorite ship is Kate and Anthony. I love them so much. Too. I just can't get enough of their chemistry.
It's just, I've seen so many people who are like, oh, I didn't like Kate and Anthony's season because there wasn't.
I don't understand. How can you not like it?
I don't know. I don't know. I do think the wedding episode drags a little bit. But that's my only critique of the whole season.
That episode. I love that episode so much. I almost put that as my favorite sexual scene. The scene where she drops her fucking bracelets and they look at each other. Like, it's perfect.
But also, I think Queen Charlotte and King George, like, they're also amazing.
They're great, yes.
Up to episode 4, and then I can't take the trauma. I can't take the sadness.
It's really intense, honestly.
Well, just on King George, I think Laura said maybe earlier that, like, it also took me out that he's the same King George that we see in Hamilton. Yeah. Like, he is the Mad George III, and so
literally,
that kind of took me out.
I know.
His story.
I was thinking about that this most recent watch. I was like, wait a minute. This is taking place during Hamilton times. We're at war. Yep. His mom is talking about how the war has drained our coffers. And I'm like, hold up. Hold up.
Yeah. Ooh, that's another word I use from Regency era. I say drain the coffers as well. I say that all the time.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Kate and Anthony of the show ships we've seen so far are my favorite. Of course they are. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think just compared to Daphne and Simon, that just felt like too much betrayal. Like, they hurt each other too much. And the way, like, Simon just like, I don't want a kid just for
He's
that.
So annoying.
It's so annoying. It's so frustrating.
Like, he's already gotten the revenge on his father just by telling him that. Like, and now he's gone. So, let's move on and live your life to be happy yourself instead of living your life for revenge. Like, it's so,
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about this later, but I mean, the redemption arc for Anthony is just so good because we see him.
Yeah, we can talk about it now.
Yeah, we see him as a capital R rake. And
douchebag. He's like, you're gonna marry Burbank. End of story.
Do you say Burbank?
Oh wait, what's
Burbrook?
Burbrook.
That's close.
Yeah, no, and just like he basically like ruins Daphne's chances, and and then he gets mad at her, and then he's so frustrating. And then in the beginning,
mom's trying to teach him a lesson, and he's like learning it all wrong. He's like, oh, I have to break up with her, and I have to attach Daphne to this asswipe.
Yeah. Well, and then in the beginning of season 2, he's just like, someone has to be perfect. I need the diamond of the season. And like, he's just dancing. And if any woman does something wrong, he's like, nope. I'm like, shut up, you psycho.
Yeah.
Me on the dating apps back in the day.
It's giving I'm not ready for a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's giving I don't know what women are. Yeah.
It's giving I need to get through the bee trauma first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What do we think about the fact that bumblebees are like the logo for Bridgerton?
I know.
When it's like a symbol of death.
I know.
Like,
I'm so confused as to why we always have bumblebee like references in every fucking Netflix show when it's literally how like the patriarch of the story died.
yeah, I was like, that's so awful.
It is. I don't understand.
I mean, it's cute.
I think it. Well, before I understood
Are
what
they
it
cute?
went. Well, now that I look at a bee, I'm like, you killed Edmund.
Like,
you're terrible.
And they could kill other people.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lilac is what I picture
Wisteria.
as being. Or sorry, wisteria.
The wisteria,
The
yeah.
purple flowers. I really associate with Bridgerton really hard. But yeah, then the bee, because they really milk the bee. Like, there's a whole scene in Emily in Paris with the frickin' bees, and like every show, there's just a random shot of bees. Like, look, it's Bridgerton.
I think that goes in line with like the cottage core vibes that have been in for a little while, but I don't know how bees lump into that, but I don't know.
No, I literally
All right.
bought like a pearl necklace in Bath.
Yeah.
With a bee on it. I'm like, oh, where is he in Bridgerton?
Yeah. All right, let's move into favorite episode, because I really love hearing everyone's favorite episodes and why they're your favorite
You go
episodes.
first, Christine.
Me go first. Okay. Me love episode. Okay, I don't know. I think it's episode 8 of season 2 when they are kind of ruined. Like, the wedding has happened and they didn't get married, and now they're like, how do we recover from this? Kate and he and Anthony are like fucking in love and it's a scandal of the season and we can't tell anybody, and they decide to throw a ball, and they're both families, like Lady Danbury and Lady Bridgerton, are 1,000% like, this is gonna work. We're gonna throw a ball. It's gonna get everyone's back off our backs. And Kate and Anthony are like dancing around each other, sniffing each other as they walk by, and like looking into each other's eyes. And the sister is just like, really? Did we really not notice this? Were they really this obvious the whole time? And then they have the ball. No one shows up. This scene is my favorite scene in all of Bridgerton. And Anthony's like, you know what? Play something fun. We're going to have fun. And they play like summer, spring fling magic or whatever the fuck it is. And the families dance together and have this moment of joy, and where they just kind of forget all their troubles. And it's so beautiful. And it always makes me cry. And I love how even through all this like drama, they're all able to find this moment of levity just dancing together, and Kate's able to dance with him, and they all like switch partners, and it's just like the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
No, I love that scene so much. I think that's episode 7, because that's when like he and Kate get together at the very end of the episode, like where they sleep together. And then
is that the episode they sleep together?
Yeah, because they sleep together like outside, like in the gardens.
Yeah,
like they both find each other, and he's like,
it's
a great stay away from me, and she's like, why? He's like, you smell lilies. I can't.
That line is so ridiculous. Lilies.
That's exactly how he says it too.
I can't. Every time I'm like, I can't with that. I'll say lilies just like he does.
It's so stupid, but I love it.
No,
I love that scene.
I love that scene because I think if any other like bad actor had that scene, it would have not gone over well. But the fact that like both he and Kate,
they were committed.
Were so committed, and her fucking eyes and the little like squint she does with her eyebrows.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Don't talk to me," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't."
I love their dynamic.
She is like genuinely the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life.
So gorgeous. Oh my god.
Like mesmerizing.
Yes. No, she's Disney princess in real life, like for realsies.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Ugh. And then like everything after that is so great. I love it all. I love when in the rain and then he like rescues her and he doesn't come to see her, but then as soon as he comes to see her, it's like, oh, marry me.
And she's like, no.
I'm going to India.
And then I love the ball where she dances with her sister. She's like, let's give them something to talk about. Oh, I love that scene. It always makes me cry too.
Yes. I still wonder like if they did sleep together in that scene, because we really only see Anthony.
They did.
Yeah, but you're right. We see a lot of Anthony's head between her legs.
Yeah. That's counts.
Okay, my favorite episode, I still love the first episode of season 1, which is Diamond of the First Water, because that was the one I do distinctly remember watching it, because it was Christmas and my cousins were here and I had been itching just to put the show on, and we didn't get to watch it that evening, so I'm like, okay, well maybe we'll watch it like a couple days later. But when I was sleeping on air mattress in my brother's room and I had my AirPods on and I just watched it on my phone. And I was like, oh my God, my cousins have to watch this. I just remember, because I still get chills when she walks and she sees the queen and the queen goes, flawless, my dear. And because the music during that scene is just so good. And then at the very end of that episode too, that's when her and Simon, what?
They make the agreement.
Yeah, they make the agreement. And it's just that music, too, at the very end. And that's where we first hear the Ariana Grande song, Thank You Next. It's just such a good episode. And
it is. The scene where they're like walking, holding hands together in slow motion is like so Twilight with Edward walking to the school.
Also, Even Days from Queen Charlotte.
Even Days. What a good episode.
Such a great episode. It's
an even day.
They're so angry with each other. It's so good.
Oh, I love their angry passions.
Yes. All right, KT.
I really love the opening of the first episode of season 3. Like, it feels like homecoming. It feels like they pan over all of the locations we now have come to love. And you see all the Bridgertons walk out together, and it's the classic who's coming out into society this year, and they're all gathering and nervous, and then they go down and she's just playing the piano because she's, not like other girls. And I just think, like, it just really felt like it got me hyped, and they play the familiar music, and I always love the longer version of the intro, that music, like the theme music for the show is like, I'm obsessed with it. And so I don't know, I just really liked how they opened this season a lot.
No, it was cozy. I didn't like Colin's face, but I liked
his handsome Squidward face is too much.
It's too lip flip much. Like,
and his hair.
Ooh. He's like weirdly squinting and pushing his lips out. I'm like,
he got a fucking lip flip. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he doing with his mouth?
I've seen people say that Luke and Nicola have better chemistry than Colin and Penelope, and I kind of agree with that a little bit. Like, I think Colin and Penelope still have good chemistry, but I think Luke and Nicola, the actors in their interviews, like, I don't know if it's just because they're more natural.
I think because Colin's, like, part of his thing is he's getting in his own way, trying to be somebody else, and we haven't seen him evolve from that. Because, okay, I completely forgot about this. In the first episode, Colin's like, Cressida like spills her drink on fucking Penelope in front of Colin, and she's like, want to dance with me? And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna dance with Miss Featherington. And then they dance together, and it's so cute and so fun and like carefree, and there's like no pressure on it. And then later in the episode, Anthony is like, Colin danced with Penelope Featherington and it meant nothing. No, dancing doesn't mean anything.
Ugh. I just the thing that irks me about this third season is I think we have the same amount of seasons as like Daphne and Simon do, maybe a little less. We don't have any flashbacks. We have flashbacks in season 1 and season 2. There's no I want to see flashbacks of like Penelope and Colin when they first meet. Like they talk about it, but we don't actually
what
see
flashbacks
it.
are in season 2? Oh, the ones with what's his name?
With her dad.
Anthony.
With the dad.
Yeah. He dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mom.
The book does show like their first meeting scene. It Penelope flashes back to it.
I hope we still get that.
Yeah. But we already talked about it, but maybe it'll come up later on because they talked about it.
Because like maybe it comes up when she like tells him like she's been in love with him like their entire life. I hope.
We'll
yeah.
see.
There's also one thing I just want to mention that they changed from the book to the show that really bothered me because it was like a go Penelope go moment that they took out. It was so, you know, in the end of season 2, when she overhears Colin saying, I would never court Penelope Featherington, that does happen in the book. And it's Colin and the brothers. And then they see that she overheard them and they turn around and they're all like so ashamed of themselves. And in the show, she like runs away and is upset, which is fair. But in the book, she like looks Colin in the eye and says, I never asked you to marry me. And then she says like, I never told anyone I wanted you to marry me. Like, why would you think that? And she just like stands up to him and is like, don't treat me like I'm a joke. And I loved that she did that in the book. And I know that they took it out because she hasn't like, you know, it's not the right part of her arc for it to happen. But I just liked how she did it in the book.
Yeah. There's still, I guess, potential for that moment to happen though, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I want to know what's everyone's favorite sexy scene.
I love that you put. Can you please say your sexy scene?
I put when Kate and Anthony fall in the mud.
Oh my god!
Gives me the giggles.
Okay, that's not a sexy scene.
It is sexy.
Yeah, I guess
it is sexy. They have to pull each other out and they like look at each other.
No,
and I think it's so sexy when they're like being so competitive with each other.
That's a romantic scene.
It's sexy. Romantic is like dumb. Sexy is like, I can beat you, bitch. That's what's happening. And she's like, fuck off, asswipe. And she like meets him head for head and everything when they're competing. I love it.
Well, I love that scene, and I do love my other favorite scene from season 2, which I guess you're gonna say is sexy, is the fucking bee sting scene with Kate and Anthony.
Oh, and she's like,
yeah,
and they're like holding
they're
the chest.
breathing, and then they're looking at each other's eyes, and then
that is a sexy scene. But that's a more romantic, sexy scene.
Yeah, in the book, doesn't he like suck the venom out of her?
Yeah.
Wait,
it's
out of her neck? Like a vampire?
It's in her boob, right?
Little, yeah.
It's her boob?
So, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but
what?
She gets a bee sting, and it's like, so if the Regency bodice comes up to here, they say he just barely has to lower it like half an inch to reach the bee sting, and he tries to suck the venom out, and then they're caught. And so they changed it because in season 1 they already did a we got caught together, we have to get married thing.
Yeah.
But in book 2, the same thing happens. They get caught and then they have to get married.
What?
So it's a little different.
Oh shit.
But yeah, he does in fact suck the venom out of her boob.
Wow.
So I guess that is a sexy scene. If that, like depending on how you.
Yeah. No,
you know.
but like it is one of their like really big like eye contact sexy moments where they're like switch.
Yeah. She's like, I am all right. I am well.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just a sting.
A bee. Or a sting. Yeah.
It was just a sting. Chrissy said when Kate has a flashback to his head between her thighs, that fucked me up. Yes. I feel like I wanted like those scenes, like I've had to slow them down because I'm like, what is actually happening in this part? But that is so good. Okay, so Katie and I had the same scene. So Katie,
Wait, before you say that
Yeah.
scene, let me just quickly say because I know we're going to talk about that scene extensively, but the scene with Queen Charlotte and King George in the bathtub when she's like trying to get off her clothes and he's just like, get in, just sit in.
Yep. That's
All right,
my favorite
go ahead.
scene too.
That one's great.
Oh, also when they're in the dining room and then like everyone has to leave.
Yeah.
That's a great scene.
Love that.
All right.
Okay.
The carriage
scene.
The carriage scene.
Yeah.
So far.
Of course.
Oh my god. I have never rewatched a scene so many times. I'm not kidding. Like I'll just fucking rewatch it. And I like every time I look at it, I'm like, what's Colin doing in this part? Or like what's Penelope doing? She does a little bit too much wiggling for my preferences, I think. But like Colin is full on her breast, and I did not pick that up the first time I watched it. I was just like, what? Yeah, I keep thinking about it though in terms of like these characters have been best friends since they were little, and then like all of a sudden it's just like 0 to 100, and he's got fingers up and just full watching.
It's true. Swear. Scouts. Honor. Anyone? No. Okay.
I just full watching her pleasure. I'm just like, oh my god. I remember specifically saying, like, I think in season 1 or 2, I'm like, how am I going to be able to watch Penelope have sex? Because right now she looks like a little girl, and like I'm so glad that she had her transformation and that she looks this way, because I think if we had Penelope looking the other way, I wouldn't have actually believed it.
Yeah. She did like her color analysis or whatever that everyone's doing on Instagram and like fixed it. Yeah, that was my favorite. I think I interpreted sexy scene as sex scene, not just like sexual tension. And so yeah, the carriage scene, like I feel like blows everything else out of the water with the pit bull in the background. Like, are you kidding me? I like when that song came on, at first I giggled.
Pitbull. At first I was like, what dog?
No,
the Pitbull song.
So I don't know.
You.
It just like took me back, and yeah, and it's and the like how they start it while they're talking, and then like you hear the breathing, and it's the one thing that took me out of it was like she's got a lot of layers on under there. It's not like once you're under the hem, it's like you know what I mean? Like
get under there.
I was like, was he like or no? Are there not?
There's not. It wasn't until the late 1800s that women wore knickers or pantaloons, and even then their crotch was full open. So easy access until the 1900s.
Full open.
No, yeah.
Wow.
They just have a lot of like petticoats. So like you see that the 3 or 4 different layers of skirts underneath her.
Oh my god, that's so naked. Ugh. Wait, when they had their periods, they wore something, right?
I don't remember. Yeah.
The belt
thing,
or
yeah.
What belt thing? What's the belt thing?
I imagine it looking kind of like a jock strap, but like for your period. I don't know. Like a sanitary belt or a chastity, not a chastity belt. I can't think of it, but
I know what you're saying.
Like,
So weird to picture that. Why wasn't there just shorts?
Literally. But no, I feel like you can tell that they practiced that scene and had it down. Like the timing with the music, it was just
I
so
kind of
lovely.
wish it wasn't that song, because I have so
Really?
many. Like I just picture a club. Like I can't get out of that being not Regency at all. Like I immediately was like, give me everything tonight.
Exactly, though. Exactly, because that's what I felt watching that scene.
You know what it was? Pitch Perfect. They sing that song.
Yes.
And I just go right to Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. I do think of that
like
too.
The choreography from the finale. Like that's what I see. And I'm I want it to have its own special song.
Yeah. No, yeah. I can see that. I also like when they giggle at the end. Like that was so sweet to me. He's like
can the carriage rider keep going?
Oh, that
yeah.
But then they look at each other and then they smile and then they do like that one sweet kiss, and then he puts her thing up with his 2 fingers. And then like he fixes her hair. Oh, It's so cute. And then at that point, you're like, at first, you're like, wait, is he just going to leave and say fucking nothing? And then you can see it, though, after the multiple times we rewatch. Like, he literally, like, decides. He's like, this woman's going to be my wife. And then he gets out of the carriage. And then she's like, Colin.
Like, he decided, like, 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
when he was like, I have to tell her.
Well, he was going to tell her, like, I have feelings for you. And then maybe he would court her. But I think after that point, he's like, no.
I feel like he knew. He's like, fuck. He was just in denial. Like, of, like, how strong his feelings were. Well, and then seeing her with Lord, whatever the fuck his name was, really pushed him over the edge.
Is he in the book, Debling?
No.
Yeah, I figured.
Not that he's not like a big character. Maybe, I don't remember him.
I couldn't believe that, man, when he was like, so how would she feel if he was never home, but she was like, had a nice castle to herself? Like, how the fuck would you feel?
Well, and then she's like, she goes,
can love grow?
Can love grow? And he's like, well, my work, I love it very much, so I don't know. I'm like, oh my gosh.
He's like, I don't think there's room for love to grow with how much I love my work. I was like, what the fuck?
What an emotionally unavailable
I'll always love
man.
the birds. Yeah.
What did you say? Oh.
I said, I'll always love the birds more than you.
The birds.
Well, that's why I want Cressida. Well, I think we talked about. I would like Cressida to be with him so that she can have like all this time to
her
herself,
own castle,
and get it on with a lady.
Yeah,
yeah. Eloise can come be her companion, and it'll all work out.
That'd be ideal. All right, last question. Is there a character that you wish didn't disappear so quickly, and what are you looking forward to like seeing the most in the future on the show?
As much as like Daphne and Simon's story is not my favorite, I feel like I wanted to see more of them just being happy and at peace, because I feel like when we wrapped up their season, we didn't have as much of that because what they went through was so traumatic. I needed a little more like
epilogue
recovery. Yeah,
with Simon included.
yes. Have you seen the thing that's like, I can't wait to see this blossoming career that was so important that he had to not be in, which is like kind of a snide thing to say.
Yeah, but it's so annoying because this happens to so many like early TV show stars. They like get famous from one season. They're like, I have to leave right now because I have so much stuff. And then like it's that thing that made people love you and gave you all this success, and to throw it away so quickly, like you haven't formed a base
exactly
to jump off of yet.
And look at Jonathan Bailey, Jurassic World, Wicked. And he did a whole other TV show with Matt Bomer. So like, come on, dude.
I mean, you can't be above the thing that gave you your start. And I think that's something that really like so many boys fuck with so soon. Like I'm also thinking of like oh my god, I just blanked on
like Jacob Elordi in The Kissing Booth.
Yes, exactly. So if we take Jacob Elordi, who was like, oh, those silly movies, I didn't even want to be in those. Like now everyone really has such a bad taste in their mouth about that guy. And he's not getting the attention that I think he wants, like the praise that I think he wants, because we all are like, ew, he's kind of an asshole. And then you look at someone like Zac Efron, who did all this like cheesy shit and in High School Musical, but kind of embraced it and did other musicals, then like slowly branched out, really formed a base, and he's done so well. I feel like that's the way to move forward. And you don't like shit on the stuff that brought you
your bread and butter
success. Yes. So
yeah, anyway. I think that's exactly what like Regé Jean Page did, and it's upsetting. Like I still loved him. I think that he's done 2 things. He did The Gray Man, and then he did the Dungeons and Dragons movie. And I loved him in Dungeons and Dragons, but like that wasn't a main character role, and I would like to see him in more. And I would have loved to seen him in Bridgerton, especially when it's so big right now. Like he just made a bad decision, and it's sad because then it also hurt Daphne. I can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Eloise,
Phoebe. Denevers.
Yeah, Denevers.
Something. Yeah.
Because like even though she had a large role in season 2, like she could have had a bigger role. Yeah. And And that's why she probably didn't come back for season 3, because it's like, what is she going to do? Just like pop in here and there. So I feel for her.
Yeah. And like how satisfying it is to see Anthony happy and kind of carefree. Imagine if we got to see Simon that way, like
yes,
happy. Like
it would be
that would have
so
been so
nice.
cute.
I want to see him duking happy.
Like duking. Or like as a dad, you know, like embracing it. Like that would be so cute.
Yeah, I mean, there's still time for them to bring them back in future seasons. Hopefully they can get them back in there.
Hopefully. Can we talk about
Alas.
Christine, keep going. I need to have an answer.
Oh, I just wanted to answer. My character that I was sad disappeared so quickly was the newspaper boy that Eloise had a little fling with, because I thought he was so cute. And I know, like, maybe Eloise, that's not her end game, but like I wish there was a little bit more fun going on there. Because Theo. I love Theo. I was just like, that boy is so cute. And I love their like back and forth, and I'm sad that we didn't get to explore it more.
Can we talk about Violet Bridgerton for a second? Because we didn't really get to touch on her.
Let's talk about Violet. I love her.
One, I think she is like the most integral character in the entire show, because of like she's much different from the mama in the books, I think. And I feel like she's just such a good mom. Like every scene she has,
so smart.
She's so smart. She is so loving and so caring, and like she made a few mistakes, I think, in the beginning, but now she's like quite learning from them. And just her friendship with Lady Danbury is one of my favorite things too. And I want to see her romance with Edmund.
Same.
And I want to see that. I want to see like a season of that, and then also in conjunction with the present time of her falling in love again, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, I want to watch her fall in love this season. I'm so excited there's a love interest.
Yeah,
Lady
I want her
Danbury's
to,
brother.
Yeah, I want her to have her garden tended, and I don't care who it is. Well, I care who it is, but I'm nervous about Lady Danbury's brother though, because the way she talks about him and moves around him makes me suspicious of him.
Something's up, but
yeah,
we'll learn it because people can grow. I feel like
Yeah.
he needs a redemption story, but we need to know what happened first.
I know. Like, was he just that bad of a rake, or what's the deal? But,
Something happened between the two of them.
yeah.
All right. I think we need to move on to Mary Kiss Cliff. We're going to move on into Mary Kiss Cliff. We have a Bridgerton themed Mary Kiss Cliff. Let's do this. All right, Katie, what is Mary Kiss Cliff today?
Okay, so what first came off the dome was Prudence, Philippa, or Portia, the Featherington women.
Yes.
If you can't tell them apart, Prudence is the older one, Philippa is the middle one, and then Portia's the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, who the fuck is Portia?
Mrs. Featherington.
Oh, we had a question that we didn't get to, but it's like the character you're most annoyed by, and I'm most annoyed by these dumbass sisters. Why are they so dumb and so annoying?
I think they're a great comedic relief. In this season particularly, but in season 1 and 2, I was like so annoyed with them. But they're just like the evil stepsisters, but funnier.
I don't think they're funny. They're dumb.
I also love Portia so much. Even though
I do like Portia. She's grown on me.
She's grown on me, even though she literally is doing everything she can to make sure her daughters have successful lives ahead of them.
She just doesn't know how.
She doesn't know how to do it in a nice way.
When she's like, oh, we must carry the torch of Mr. Bridgerton and help Penelope secure this match, and like comes in is like ruining their moment when he's giving her the love fern. I brought you a love fern to your window.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna marry Portia because
Me too.
I think
Because I hate the other ones.
Yeah, she needs a little loving. And I'm going to kiss Philippa because I think she's the funniest. Insert swear. And then Prudence, I'm sorry, I'm clipping you.
Yeah, Prudence is just an asshole.
She is.
And she's
mean.
really dumb. But yeah, she says she doesn't enjoy sex, but she probably might not enjoy the sex. It could be really bad sex.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part when they like are kissing and then he falls over and then he comes up and he's like, "How is my ensemble?"
I know.
That part, just like that was like my favorite part.
That was really funny. Her husband is funny. Like the actor is doing a good job. Yeah, I'm gonna cliff Prudence, kiss Philippa as well. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, the same. That's kind of what I had in mind.
Yeah,
because Portia, like, go ahead.
No, she's got a head on her shoulder. She's just like using it for cruelty by accident a lot.
Yeah, she's like a smart lady. She's just not socially smart sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
yeah.
And then I thought Philippa had a great glow up this season. I thought
she
Philippa
did.
Looked
She
great.
did.
I thought she was hot this season.
Mm-hmm.
Totally did.
There's like their hair is very pinup style this season, I feel. And there's the part where like she's got all these like victory rolls and it just looks so good.
Yeah.
Wait.
And she had this like
oh, go ahead.
She just had like this pink fluffy thing on at one point. I remember that I thought she looked really good in. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the evolution of Queen Charlotte's fucking wigs? Because this season they've gone so hard. It's like a parody of herself. Mm-hmm. There's like holes in her wigs with dioramas in it and like candles.
I really think this season they just were like, let's just keep like pushing the bar.
Keep making these more ridiculous.
I follow the lady who like makes the wigs on social media, and it's so crazy how they make it. I'm like, oh my god, I would love to do that one day.
I mean, they're so much better than the first season wigs. I mean, like obviously they evolved with the fashions, and they've stopped getting like bigger, taller. They've gotten just more like elaborate and big. Which I like how they're like evolving. But when I saw that one wig where they like panned up and like there was a hole in it and there was like a whole thing happening, I was like,
there's like a swan. There's like moving parts to it.
Yes,
it's really
yes.
cool.
I was like, first of all, where are the batteries? Who's moving that?
I was like, Ratatouille. Is there someone in there like?
I know. I was like, is there a person behind her rotating something?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Is this like magnets? What the fuck?
Yeah. I originally, when I was thinking of Mary Kiss clip, I was like, the Queen's wigs, Cressida sleeves, and then I couldn't think of a third thing. But
Penelope's dresses, Mary.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna be like Penelope's color palette from season 1. I don't know. I couldn't think of a third thing.
Well, that was such a nice discussion. Thank you so much for joining us, Katie. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Can people find you on the internet somewhere, or do you not want people to find you? I forget.
Nah, that's all right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being here with us today. We would love for you, if you haven't already, like we said, follow the show for free in your favorite podcasting app. We release new episodes every single Friday. And then, of course, we have the Patreon and all the fun benefits there. We are off to go record Fangirl Tea Time, which will be coming up right after this if you are a patron. We still have so many stories that we didn't get to last week because we were off for 3 weeks, so that's going to be a fun time. Our podcast is edited by Alex Polis and Ricky McBrayer. The music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska. Our socials are done by Chloe Laverson. My name's Christine.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Katie.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.